have a borderline temper tantrum in front of the classroom and no one say anything. Like by the end of the course, I had a one-on-one with someone, and the only constructive criticism that they can give me was that for me to be direct or to like address the adversity. Good morning. Welcome to the Conscious Courage podcast and happy Sing It With Me Motivational Monday. I am your host, Davone'a Tashae. I meet with you all every Monday at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to provide practical steps toward our inner healing journey, or what I've coined internal glow up. So whether you're here for the first time or returning, I thank you for tuning in. The team and I are so grateful to every subscriber via YouTube, every listener on Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, as well as Spotify, and every IGU babe out there who is keeping up with us via social media at CC Podcast with DT. Y'all are locked in and we are too hype that you're here. Ensure that you listen through to the end of this episode to receive your practical steps. And also, here's an announcement, y'all. We are seeking 100 downloads via the audio streaming platforms I just mentioned by 1 July 2024. So get out there, listen, download, like, subscribe, all of the things. Okay, let's dive into today's episode. Okay, nothing changed. I still was shut down when I wanted to participate. I still was, be quiet. Okay, so we moved tables and it was like a breath of fresh air. I'm with a new group of people. We're working as a team. There are no big I's and little U's. Like, we're good. We're working as a team and it's good. All right, that group dynamic ends. And then we break off into our smaller groups, which are specific to our jobs. And I'm gonna speed through this a little more. So we were in 6 blocks. The first block, again, I'm excited because I could go back to being myself. Like, yes. And I get to be around people and I get to be my people person self. I'm a high I. If you ever took the DISC assessment, I'm a 99 on the I. So this is real. And I'll go around the room like, hey, anyone have a birthday while we're here? Because my plan is, oh, baby, we are going to celebrate. If it's your birthday and we in training, we are going to celebrate your birthday. Only one person raised their hand. We move on, because I'm going to skip. We move on into block 2, block 3. And I'm like, hey, y'all, this is the plan for such and such birthday. Blah, blah, blah. Cool. This is the theme that they want. And this is the place that I've already found. And like, we're good. This person wasn't in class at that time. So when they came back, I'm like, hey, we made a plan. This is where we're at. And then the person made a comment of, well, I celebrate my birthday with everyone. And I was like, oh, is that somebody else's birthday? Like, who else is having a birthday? I don't even remember your hand coming up. And I don't know how the woman shared that it was her birthday as well. And I was like, oh, girl, like, you didn't raise your hand. She's like, yes, I did. I raised my hand. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. Well, if I missed your hand, again, look, I apologize. I own up. If I did something, I don't have pride, baby. I couldn't apologize. So I'm like, if I missed your hand, I apologize. When is your birthday so that we can celebrate you as well? Refused to say it and was like, no, I'm not talking about it anymore. A lot of body language and a lot of attitude. Mind you, this is the same person when we were in the blended group that was at the table with me, who was also like shutting me down and doing things. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and against dark powers and against cosmic powers and things in dark places and all of the stuff. So I understand, like, okay, this is a spiritual thing. Like, I don't know, copy. From that day, I completely stopped talking. And when I tell y'all I know there are people out there that are diagnosed as mute. So I don't mean any disrespect when I say this. I became mute. I participated in my small groups because we were always in small groups. But outside of that, baby, I'm not talking. Because every single time I would say something, I was attacked. No, thank you. No, thank you. Don't like the feeling. 2, people were not like, so we would rotate tables to get to know our classmates, right? And just to work with a different group. And I can tell there was some apprehension about sitting with me, but baby, I don't stink and I'm not talking. So I think I'm pretty easy to sit with. Like, you know what I mean? At this point, I'm just a little bump on the log. And I'm like, gosh, something seems weird, but I can't put my finger on it. The only thing I can do is show up as myself, greet everyone, sit at the table, get my job done, and go back to my room. It was I had been there at least almost 2 months, I think, when I received this message. Okay? Because we're talking about it. Because as I was going through all this, I didn't tell a single family member. I didn't tell a single person in the schoolhouse that's in a leadership position. Okay? I just kept it to myself. I said, I'm not going to say a word because the way the military is set up, it will be lieutenant colonel versus second lieutenant. It will be white woman versus black woman. And I'm not doing that. I'm not playing the race game. I'm not playing the rank game. Like, I'm not doing any of this. I will suffer in silence before I cause a havoc. Adversity there, okay? Ad break. Are you seeking an electrifying speaker to ignite transformation in your audience? Well, look no further. Hi, I'm Davone'a Tashae, real estate investor, Air Force veteran, and host of the Conscious Courage podcast, where new episodes are released every Monday, 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time via YouTube and all streaming audio platforms. I specialize in delivering impactful keynote speeches that inspire change and elevate your minds. Whether it's a virtual gathering or an in-person event, I bring passion, expertise, and a unique delivery to every arena or every environment that I'm in. Let's captivate your audience together and create an unforgettable experience. Contact me today to book your next event, and let's embark on this journey of transformation, or let's get all of your attendees on this journey toward internal glow up. You can book me via my website by going to www.davoneatashae.com. I'll spell that for you. It is www.DAV as in Victor, ONEATASHAE.com. I look forward to connecting with you. Take care. It's adversity when a person feels as if their voice, if they speak up, will not be heard. That's unfortunate, y'all. I'm trying to move this braid. I received this message a month to the date after that Colonel and I had a conversation, and we both agreed that it was simply a misunderstanding and we were moving on. Hey, we barely interacted during the blended course, and I just wanted to reach out to you because I feel like there have been instances where you were treated unfairly. There have been several instances at this point, and I'm going tomorrow to see who I can report harassment and discrimination to. If you're interested and willing to just getting things off your chest or hearing more about what's been going on, please reach out to me and we'd love to have lunch with you. So I'm like, hey, firstly, thank you for acknowledging this. Secondly, I do wish to learn more. And then that was kind of that. And they were like, okay. That was literally my message. And I said, I'm sorry, that was pretty brief. I was preparing for a phone call because I was getting up early, getting on this accountability call. What time do you normally grab lunch? Or we could just chat over a break. So anyway, they were just like, hey, things have gotten weird. I have been around that colonel and it was just a miserable and terrible experience. I was told some ways that you were treated by that person, and that person has said things about you and just mistreated you and has been spreading stuff, has been talking about things to anyone that will listen. And she's been and it hasn't been appropriate at all. And we could talk some more, or if you want, we can meet. So we were supposed to meet that day, and just so happened that day we were released, like my class was released early. After lunch, we didn't have to go back to class. We were said to work on our work and stuff that we needed to do. So I didn't have lunch, but this person with a group of other people, unbeknownst to me, gave me a call to give me more information on what was transpiring. But they went on to say that they wanted to talk to leadership, whatever the case may be. So when they call me and they're like, yep, said individual has been talking and saying X, Y, and Z. And I was like, oh my gosh, like what? What is happening? And they were like, yeah, so we're going to leadership because this is not right. And do you want to come along? And I said, no, thank you. I don't want to come along because her rank and my rank. And to be frank, I know how this can turn out, as she is of the majority. I am of the minority. She is white, I am black. Like, I'm just going to speak frankly and candidly because that's the only way I know how to speak. So I thank you all. And if you do choose to say something, you have my full permission to share everything that you've heard, to include this conversation. But I am not going because I'm just going to, I said, I have a pure heart and my hands are clean. I genuinely apologize. I genuinely asked a very pure question. And if it was somehow taken out of turn and misconstrued and turned around, that's not me. Like, I don't have a dog in that fight. I'm at peace. So they did go forth, and who they are, I don't know how many. Could have been one, could have been everyone that was joining the phone call to tell me their experience and what they heard. I'm not sure. But what I do know is that a week or to a week and a half before graduation for that particular class, that lieutenant colonel was sent home. So everything that I was feeling, everything that I was enduring from the shutdown, and it didn't start there. It carried on into the class when we broke out into our own specific group, in which when I said I became mute, it carried on into there, in which the shutdown was there. I used the word ostracism, and I can tell where I was only tolerated if, like, y'all, we went out for dinner. We went out for dinner for the one person's birthday who was the only person who raised their hand, right? And later on we learned that there were other birthdays, but that's neither here nor there. We went out for dinner. I showed up a little later because I already had my massage planned and everything else. And I was wearing a sweatsuit. I just had a little poof ball on my head and some big hoop earrings. Like, I'm chilling, right? I'm coming from getting a massage. I'm relaxing. Everyone's kind of dressed up, and I'm like, oh, dang, it's a Mexican restaurant. Love me some Mexican food. Wasn't expecting for there to be like dress up attire, or I would have showed up, okay? It showed out. So I share that because I'm like, maybe that's the reason why when there was a video taken of the room, right, of the table, and everyone who was sitting at the table, I was left out. Adversity, right? Maybe. I don't know. I never asked the question. I just said, well, maybe it was my outfit. I'm not sure. But it was a very intentional video because where I sat, like, if I'm here, the video started here. And you got everything but this right here. Like, when I tell you we had a WhatsApp chat and that I would send stuff and no one would see it or respond to it, passive aggressive. When I tell you there were underhanded compliments on how well I articulated myself and how well I could speak and how I would do good in the job that I'm in because I took great notes. You know, it interests me how people would limit you based off of just their own biases, y'all. Because my job when I enlisted was very executive focused, administrative focused, program management focused, a little bit of budget focused. The assumption is that I will not succeed in this area that I commissioned into. And so people would talk to me in a sense of, I don't know. Baby, I know. Don't assume. Like, I know. Or if I don't know, I understand. Y'all, for 4 months, or might as well say 3 months and like 2 weeks since the first 2 weeks, like I was talking and stuff, I became mute. I went out maybe 3 times with the group. I lost 10 pounds while I was there. And I didn't notice it until I started putting on my civilian, like my normal attire outside of uniform. And I was like, dang, this is loose. And then I took my photo shoot for my website, Davone'a.Tashae.com. Yes, y'all, you can check it out. And the photographer was like, did you lose weight? And granted, I had been written out his studio. So, you know, you just build a rapport with people. I don't get offended easily unless I can tell, like, okay, this is intentional. And even then I don't get offended. If I do feel offended, because I just repent for this feeling of offense and I move on. And he's like, you must have lost weight, probably stress. And I was like, you know what? I don't claim stress over my life. But I'm pretty sure I was stressing. I'm pretty sure. Let me tell y'all how when the eclipse happened and we were standing outside, there was a woman figure up ahead that looked very similar to the lieutenant colonel. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's back. And because of my experience and because of the seeds of deceit that were planted, immediately I felt anxious. Immediately there was a rise of anxiety. And immediately it was a feeling of, oh my gosh, because again, people went forth on my behalf. I never said a word, never intended to. And I was told that there was an investigation taking place. I wasn't even told. Actually, I take that back. I was not told. I would hear like, oh, there's an investigation, or oh, we have to go for this interview, or oh, people are being drug tested. Like, what? Baby, they didn't talk to me. So I, right hand up to God, didn't know what was going on. But I was getting weird looks and mugs and eye rolling. And I'm like, I am so innocent and naive to what is happening. It was just beyond me. But I still had to show myself friendly. I still had to have a positive attitude when I did choose to participate. I didn't get to walk into the classroom after I received that message saying, hey, there has been discrimination and harassment toward you. I didn't get to walk into the classroom with my head held low, or having an attitude or eye rolls, or having body language that wasn't receptive. I don't get that opportunity. I don't get to respond, or maybe I could, and hey, maybe I can start responding when a person compliments me on how well I articulate myself and how I speak. And when they're just like, you work where and you do what? Never mention my salary. I never mention my business. Never mention anything other than this is where I'm from, this is where I work, this is my experience, and this is where I have worked. Some people have told me shouldn't have shared those things. It creates envy, it creates jealousy. People might think that you're bragging. Some people have told me your confidence is intimidating. Maybe dummy yourself down a little bit. Why? Why do I have to be less than who I am in order for others to feel secure in who they are? Why is there passive aggressive behavior toward me for being me? Why can't I go in to a room and share or have an attitude because someone missed my birthday and literally have a borderline temper tantrum in front of the classroom and no one say anything? Like, by the end of the course, I had a one-on-one with someone, and the only constructive criticism that they can give me was that for me to be direct or to like address the adversity. Right. And I said, oh, well, when I noticed something was off with the lieutenant colonel and I had a conversation with her. When the other person began to treat me how they were, I had a one-on-one with them. I mean, that didn't change their behavior. Hence, when they were upset about the birthday thing, and this person was like, oh, yeah, I noticed the lieutenant colonel when she would kind of, like do a hand gesture like this, whatever, to hush you. And oh, yeah, I remember what happened with the birthday thing. No one ever stepped in, y'all. No one ever said, hey, let's mediate. Hey, let's check on Davone'a, see exactly what's going on. Hey, nothing, baby. What I'm saying is probably like, it doesn't seem that bad. It's different when you're living it. When you're literally in an environment and you know you're not wanted or accepted there. Someone told me, well, it was just a personality conflict. And I was like, let me drop something on y'all, okay? There was a class before us that graduated maybe 2-3 weeks before we did. And I had the opportunity to meet one of the classmates, from that class, African-American woman, only African-American woman in her class. And we were going through and experiencing the exact same thing to the T. Passive aggressive behavior. You knew things were going on, but you weren't really invited to it. The only difference is that she spoke up. And when she did, she received the support. When I learned what happened to her and I said, okay, this is what I'm going through, it has to stop here. There can't be another Black woman. There can't be another minority in general that comes to this class, that comes to this course that's 4 months long and experience the ostracism, the other. Y'all, I forgot this part. If you watched into this point, your mouth is going to drop when you hear this. When I was in that class, that was the blended course, There was an instructor there. All of their instructors are Caucasian men, except for the military personnel there. You have some women and whatever. It's diverse whether you look at gender or you look at ethnicity, race, background, culture. But not the civilian personnel. All Caucasian men. One of the guys was talking about the brush that he uses on his beard. And he said how he prefers black people brushes. Excuse me, he said he prefers black brushes. Now, I'm not a part of the conversation. I'm sitting at the table and he's like right here talking. And I'm like, dang, that's weird. Black brushes. Okay, cool. And he goes on about this black brush that he uses on his beard. And finally he says it. You know, the brushes that black people use on their hair, I like to use them on my beard. And he's like, you know. And I believe that this notion, because again, I'm sitting at the table, was to invite me into the conversation. And not only was I uncomfortable, but the lieutenant colonel, although maybe she was ruminating and like had her own thoughts and feelings toward whatever, she looked at me in a way of that is not appropriate. And I looked back at her like, no, it's not. Like telepathy. But I was so shocked, frozen that I didn't say anything. And I'm telling this out of order. So when I started off and it was a 10-day course and there were only like 6 of us. And then we transitioned into the larger group where there was upward of high 20s to low 30s. And in that high 20s to low 30s, I was the only African American. That's where I experienced, the interaction with the lieutenant colonel. That's where I experienced the interaction with the woman who would later go on to have the baby tantrum about her birthday. It's also where I experienced or heard this gentleman sharing about him using black people brushes on his beard because they work better. I experienced all of that in the matter of 2 weeks. So when I thought I would have a fresh experience when we transitioned into our jobs, and I didn't get that, I was just muted. It messed with my mental, y'all. I'm not gonna hold you, and my emotional, because again, I looked within and I'm like, what am I doing? What have I done? What have I said? What is it? Although it wasn't me. It's just the culture and the climate that has been tolerated and accepted. It's just what comes with serving while melanated. If you're not in the healthy environment. See, when you're in a culture and a climate that doesn't breed that, there's a saying, and that is that the fish rots from the head. So if your head is healthy, the body is healthy. To learn toward the end of the course that there was someone else enduring in the same fashion that I was enduring, whether worse or a little better, it's enduring, that they involved outside sources. It's not a us thing. The minority can't be the oppressor. Outnumbered. It doesn't work that way. When we're still in an environment and in a life where you can still hear the first black. We had our first black chief of staff in 2021. That was 3 years ago. There's so much room for growth. And now that I'm in this Air Force specialty code, in which I just told you I was in a class of 14 and I was the only black person, I am now a minority to the minority to the minority to the minority to the minority. You add on me being a woman and then you add on me being a black woman. I am like one of a handful. And after that experience, and I told my leadership this, so I'm okay with sharing it on this platform if they ever were to come across this. I said that experience made me wonder, do I want to continue service if this is the new upward trend that I have to go up? The base I'm at, phenomenal. I believe this is the importance of diversity and inclusion, and not just diversity as it pertains to race, but diversity in thoughts, diversity in experience, diversity in lifestyle, diversity in education. Great group. I'm sure there's flaws. I haven't been there long enough. Right? Everywhere, no one's perfect, but it feels like a family. They know that I come from a different background, but they haven't shunned me, at least not yet. They accept this bubbly, at least to my face, but I do believe it's genuine as well. And I'm like, y'all, this course that I just attended, that schoolhouse is a schoolhouse I have to go back to for another mandatory course that I have in 2 years. How is it going to be then? Serving while melanated. It has afforded me phenomenal opportunities. The opportunities came about only, if I'm honest, brutally honest, when my supervisors were people of color. When the Air Force Reserve Command Chief afforded us an opportunity and I was a by name request to apply, She was of the minority community. That's when I received my first decoration. Moving on, when I eventually made it up to Master Sergeant, my supervisor, I was her individual mobility augmentee. I don't know if I can call her a Jamaican or a Jamaican American. She's from Jamaica. First time I received firewall 5s on an evaluation. First time or second time I received a decoration. First time I had a supervisor who supported me in everything and all of my endeavors. I mean, I went to her and I said, I want to go to higher education. I want to apply to grad school, right? And I need their support because I want to use some education stuff. So she had to support that. I went back to her and I said, ma'am, I want to apply to commission. She had to support that because I need letters of recommendations and I need her endorsement and her support and her approval to seek this extra, not curricular, but this literally career-changing opportunity. She supported that. When I went back to her and said, ma'am, I want to apply to be an active guard reservesman and work as an executive for a second time, but in an official capacity for the Air Force Reserve Command Chief, also the senior enlisted leader to the Chief of the Air Force Reserve, one person, 2 titles. She supported that. Some people might hear that and say, girl, figure it out. No, you only get one choice. I'm only endorsing you one time. But she saw my zeal, she saw my drive, but not only that, she understood as a minority herself the importance, I didn't think I would cry, the importance of supporting me in my goals and my dreams and my aspirations. One reason why I wanted to commission was, I say, to be a voice to the voiceless. But I never thought I would find myself in a position where I was voiceless and I didn't have the courage to speak up for myself. And this is minor. I know there are people out there who have intentionally been betrayed, berated, discriminated against, removed, falsely accused, even sexually harassed. And the sexual harassment may not have anything to do with race, but you're a woman and you work in a male-dominated field. My reason in commissioning was to have a seat at the table and to have a representation. I carry myself in the way that I do because, again, I understand that I represent an entire culture. And it's pressure, y'all. It is pressure. And it's pressure that I don't have to put on myself. But I do it because who else will? Who else can a person look to and say, okay, I can achieve X without shaking my butt. I can achieve X without dressing promiscuously. I don't, it's hard work. It's definitely not easy. And it's a lot of pressure. When people want to build a rapport with me and they think building the rapport with me is talking about rap music, I'm deeper than that. And mind you, I stopped listening to rap several years ago because the lyrics don't feed me any information, doesn't help me toward my future, just in case y'all didn't know. When people want to build a rapport for you and so they bring up chicken, the stereotypes are real. Adversity is real. Glass ceilings are real. And I've been very blessed to break through some of those glass ceilings on my enlisted side. And when I think, gosh, I'm going to have to do that all over again on the commission side, I just want peace, man. Is that a mountain I really have to climb? I might as well conclude this. I don't know where I'm at on the timing of this, or if people will even watch it all the way through. But this is the June topic, y'all. Adversity. I'm going to break it down some more, so stay tuned for the following Mondays. Thank you to everyone who's listened. I started the podcast as I was enduring and growing and moving through that 4-month course that I've just outlined for you and described. So even in the face of adversity, I still found resilience. I still went after my goals. There's so much that I'm going to share that I've learned, people that I've spoken to, things that I've achieved as the year continues on, as God leads me, that even in the thick of it, it's interesting how I say this when rejection is either God's direction or his protection, and how the other that I experienced, how the rejection that I've experienced really pushed me to be in my own little space, to explore everything that my heart could dream up. So there's good in it. It was just something to endure for the first time at my big age. But everything is to build character. It's a part of the story. It's a part of the journey. And why not me? I'm built for it. So until next week, y'all, take care.
Okay, y'all, this concludes the 3-part mini-series on how I've overcome adversity as an African-American woman in grade school, all the way through military service and present day. Stay tuned and ensure you tune in next week, Monday, 10 June, for additional conversations centered around understanding adversity.
Disclaimer: as a content creator with a background in psychology and ongoing studies in mental health at the graduate level, it's important to clarify that I am not a licensed professional. The videos and podcasts I produce are intended for educational, information, entertainment, and transformational purposes only. While I strive to provide accurate information and insight, it's essential to consult with a licensed mental health professional for clinical perspectives and personalized advice tailored to your specific needs. Your mental well-being is of the utmost importance, and seeking guidance from a qualified provider is encouraged for any concern or issues that you may be experiencing.